Hello, welcome to this Before the Weekend, your weekly update on things that I believe matter for society, the economy, leadership and life, and things that I look at through the lens of noble purpose. 3 topics I have selected for your weekend's reflection. First, the shift that I see happening in organizations, definitely also influenced by the COVID pandemic, from focusing on boxes, roles in boxes, to skills in projects. 2 is doing well the only responsibility for public instances, or can also wealthy people like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation cover these needs for society. And 3, the whole theme around the Disney kiss and what I believe is the cancel culture, where a lot of things that we were considering as normal are becoming absolutely not acceptable anymore. I hope you will enjoy this new edition. Welcome. The first topic is what I call the new work operating system. It's quite an interesting shift that is going to happen, definitely also influenced by the COVID pandemic. What we have seen is that millions of people around the globe have been working from home. Obviously, this is no new information, but this led to reinventing the way how organizations get themselves organized, the way how leaders lead, and the way how workers work. An additional consequence is that the way how work traditionally was organized from roles and responsibilities in organizational boxes is now going to shift towards a system of work design where the needed skills and talents will be brought together to get the job done. And that need to get the job done will be assigned to what I believe is a mix of employees, probably contingent workers in talent marketplaces, and also machines. So that is going to definitely question the way how the traditional organization was working, and that will require from leaders a very different way of leading, of pushing organizations forward. Definitely, I believe that leaders will still define the direction. I do also believe that senior management and middle management will still be helping to define how the execution should be done to achieve the strategy set, the direction that the organizational leadership wants to achieve. And at the same time, I do believe that workers, and for sure know-how workers, they will become more and more independent in choosing what kind of project they want to step in. So what I believe is that we're going to evolve quite drastically from roles, box thinking to skills, competence, project thinking, and that people will have more possibility to define or decide for which kind of organizational leader they want to work, having specific projects. So what is going to happen, I believe, is that people will have the possibility to kind of like pick and choose. I believe that leaders will have to be very outspoken on what they stand for, who they are, how empathetic they are, what is important for them. Because if you want to bring together talent from across your organization, and if you're a multinational organization, probably from across the world, you'll have to blend in with all these talents and all these skills and also these different cultures. And as people will have more and more freedom to choose for what kind of project they want to work, it will be essential that as a leader you're outspoken on your noble purpose, on what the values are that you stand for, the way how you want this project to be a success, the way how you want to onboard people, the way how you want people to work together. So it's a major shift happening from the traditional organization, more thinking in organizational charts with roles in boxes, to organizations where projects, priority projects, will be defined, and where the right amount of people and technology and even machines will be put together to make that a success. This week, one of the most inspiring couples with a noble purpose, Melinda and Bill Gates, have decided to separate, unfortunately. The question arose if the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, active around the globe and spending billions of dollars in research, education, vaccines, fighting severe illnesses, diseases, and infections, and in some sort the magnus opus of the couple will stop too. The question I have here is not so much if their foundation is going to stop, which they said, by the way, it won't, but if billionaires, wealthy families have the possibility or can have the influence, a huge influence through their wealth on education, research, social and societal transformation, diseases fighting, etc. For that, we must really understand the scope of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is having a huge capital of over 40 billion USD, with a capacity to spend annually billions of dollars to research, charity, and more. And by that, we're actually also understanding that they can surpass easily what several states and governments have as annual budget on spending for research, vaccination, education, and what have you. So what the Gates Foundation is doing is simply mind-blowing, but obviously they're not alone. And I try to understand what the scope is of wealth and impact. And I read the Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors report of 2020, where they analyzed the spending of over 200 of the wealthiest families in the world with, on average, a capital of 1.2 billion US dollars, and how they spend that in 28 countries, or at least they come from 28 countries. And we see that they spend billions in things such as societal transformation, social, trying to stop social inequality, pure charity and philanthropy, and the alike. And the question then came up, can these rich and famous spend so much money impacting society? Isn't that something that should only be done by the local or regional or national governments, by the public instances? And I believe that it's not only for governments to do that. I do believe that it is great when, with the right intention and a clear purpose, wealthy families, wealthy people want to contribute, want to give part of their capital and their income to society. I would even think that it is an obligation of them who have been able and who are able to create their wealth in an economic system in which they operate, to give back to society an important part. And so I even see that the combination of wealth, private wealth and governments, bringing these two together, making them complementary, is probably the best way forward, and what is very likely the model of the future, with governments not having the money that some of these wealthy families generate, and these wealthy families having to operate anyway with their projects in a legal system that is set by the governments. The third topic is more of a philosophical reflection. Recently there has been a whole debate, from my perspective, quite ridiculous, if Disney's Snow White, the famous character, can or cannot be kissed by a prince to come out of her symbolic eternal sleep. Certain people suddenly find that scene considered, from my perspective, as a lovely moment of giving back life to someone by a symbolic kiss, as a violation of women's rights to choose, or have the right to choose. It's becoming a debate around male dominance of a prince, a macho guy, deciding when he wants to give a kiss to a woman that is considered as a vulnerable subject. My intention here is to raise awareness. Awareness of the kind of society I believe we're becoming, and how each of us is contributing positively or negative to that. I do believe that we all need to be conscious of the impact we have on others. That's also the idea of Before the Weekend, is to bring in themes that maybe are bringing in a very different approach from what you're used to hear or what you're used to read, to help you reflect about things and form and make an opinion on that. I definitely do promote free speech. I definitely do promote free opinion, constructive, divergent thinking. I'm totally against opinions that would harm or that would have negative intentions on other people or parts of the population with the intention to judge or with the intention to harm. But I also do believe that it's thanks to the opposing ideas that we learn from each other. And at the same time, I do not believe that we live with more joy or with more flow or with more harmony or with more peace if everything that exists and that has been created within a specific context has to be considered as no longer appropriate, correct, and or true. So I'm quite opposing against this cancel culture where everything is being revisioned, but I would like to know what your opinion is on that. How are you looking at that? And I would like to end with a quote from Meister Eckhart, which I think is quite appropriate for the philosophical point we are making here. People think too much about what they must do. So it's about doing. People think too much about what they must do and not enough about what they should be. This was it for this week. I hope you find it interesting. If you did like it, please share it with those that you think would also benefit from listening to this. Do subscribe to the weekly Before the Weekend updates in my YouTube channel. I hope to see you again next week or any of the other Before the Weekends. And for now, enjoy the weekend.